On the Clock NFL Draft Show, episode number 16. This is the first post-draft episode ever in the history of On the Clock. So this one's going to go down in the books. This one is a doozy today. We're talking NFL draft winners, losers, and some of us are going to perceive teams as winners. Some of us are going to perceive teams as losers. So beauty is in the eye of the beholder, especially in this one. I'm going to introduce my co-hosts this evening, starting off the mayor of college football, Mr. Nino Brown. Nino, what's cooking?
What's going on, my man? We got Coach, there's Maestro, Boomer, and the governor. Hey, this is a party. This is gonna be a good one. I don't even want to talk no more until it's time to get into it. Let's just go.
Let's go. But he teased it. Let me introduce the governor of college football, Mr. KT at Leverett_KT on the Twitter. Leverett, what's cooking?
Hey, what's happening, man? I'm in the presence of some legends right here, man. I'm ready to get started, man.
Legends, and the legend himself, the Globe Trotter, the dude in the T2T Network, Winnebago, Boomer at Jared Gray. Boomer, what's cooking?
I'm good. It's weird to be at home this weekend. Like, I feel like I'm always traveling.
You know what was excellent? Like, our conversations in general are excellent, but seeing you send a message about the Senior Bowl, next year's Senior Bowl, and even though it was like we really didn't converse about it, it was just kind of like a little thing you dropped in there, and it is so exciting to know that going into, like, this season hasn't even started yet, but the off season, like all the major stuff is kind of behind us as far as the things that we love to track, and it is very exciting knowing that next year all that stuff, like, we're there. So no longer are we like, hey, I wonder if we can get into the draft, the combine, the Senior Bowl. Like, we're already prepping. So I'm somebody who likes to project. And I have countdowns like everywhere. I'm a countdown guy. So I'm already looking forward to the Senior Bowl. But, man, I'm ready to rock and roll. Before we start this thing, though, I want to let everybody know, if you want to support the show, it's patreon.com/toilets to titles. If you want to get in there, we have multiple tiers. You can get into the Gilded Chat. We're offering all sorts of things to the Title Tribe. You definitely want to check out the CFB Nation on YouTube. You're going to want to check that out right after this show, because I think two people in here, I know, Nino, you don't want to talk about anything until we get right into the draft talk. But listen, what's coming up on the CFB Nation right after this show?
I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? Sometimes things need to be addressed.
Okay.
And sometimes people don't give a shit about getting canceled, and I'm one of those people that just don't give a shit. So,
boy,
I'm ready. That's all.
Hey, I'm just gonna show the P2P logo before we get canceled. I mean,
that was all of you out there. There's only 4 people watching right now, and if you watch after the fact, you're gonna want to go to the CFB Nation, because regardless of how Nino said it or what he said, they're talking about some. It's Alabama, correct?
Yes.
Some controversy. So if you're a college football fan, if you're a fan of controversy, the whole world's a fan of controversy. That's how the news has managed to stay relevant, like, all this time. So if you're a fan of that, go check out the CFB Nation, because that's coming up on deck. But here we are today at this moment, ready to talk about NFL draft winners and losers. So you want to kick this thing off with winners? Who wants to go first? I think we could just drop the Eagles, right? Like, everybody agrees the Eagles absolutely dominated. Does anybody have any thoughts about the Eagles' overall draft?
How does Howie just continuously, like, just?
I think he's drafting their water boy right now. So,
but still, I understand it's all Georgia. But dude, there's steals. Like, look where we got Nolan Smith. Like,
bro.
Hello.
Yeah.
Like,
it's crazy. Hey, let's just give it this. Didn't they get Ojamo in the 7th round?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Pick 249.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. And Tanner McKee, regardless of whether or not you think he's worthy of a 6th round pick, I mean, that's still, he was being talked in like a 4th round value.
Boomer said he was a talk, like, day one he was starting to climb, right?
Hey, he was climbing. I mean, people were talking. It's because so many guys went so fast. They were like, oh, I guess we can wait, I guess. I mean, it was crazy.
And Sidney Brown as well. Sidney Brown went in the 3rd round, so they loaded up. Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith. I don't know much about Tyler Steen, but he went to Alabama, and you guys are going to be talking about them later.
Keely Ringo in the 4th round, 105th pick.
Uh-huh.
And they steal Swift, right? Like, that was a steal to me. I mean, after the draft was over, they tried to shop Swift to the Rams, they said, "No, we're cool. We'll go get Zach Evans and the other gentleman they got in UDFA. I forget his name. Something Evans, Tywin Evans or something like that." But bro, like now you don't want to kick the tires on Swift? Nothing. Like it wasn't expensive, right? That wasn't that expensive for
like
Swift,
Ford, right? It was a Ford with like a
seventh, I think, added to it or something like that.
something supplemental. Like
Yeah.
and if he leaves, they get something back.
Yeah. So it's like, why not? Why not kick the tires? Are you fully in on Cam Akers? Because you didn't seem like you were fully in on Cam Akers last year.
Right. Well, back to the Eagles. Just think about the fact they were able to. I know this is draft talk, but they were able to bring back Bradbury. They were able to bring back Darius Slay. I love Chauncey Gardner-Johnson because I'm a defensive guy and he's like a mosquito, and I like players like he's constantly but from a culture standpoint, which is culture is the kind of the word of the day. So that's it's like Pee Wee Herman's Pee Wee's Playhouse. Every time you say the word culture, everybody's gonna scream. All right, so anyway, but he's gone, and Sidney Brown, from as far as I know, the dude was the leader at the Senior Bowl. I feel like as a safety, they had him calling the defense. So what does it say that the defensive coordinator at the Senior Bowl sees a safety, brings him in as a leader? So they're getting leadership in the third round at pick 66 to replace somebody who kind of a little bit of a head case, kind of a little bit of a problem. Do you think there's anything to, I don't know, I feel like this is BS. All right, I'm not going to use a curse word because we already used one, so I don't want to get the parental advisory. We're good. But do you think there's anything to people saying that other GMs are getting frustrated with Howie Roseman?
I think it's again. So what I read is they're getting frustrated with how everybody's saying that Howie Roseman's always like
get over it.
Yeah,
right.
The guy's doing well. When Belichick was doing well, when the guys in Indy were doing well, when the guys in Kansas City were doing well drafting, nobody was like, oh, what the heck?
Right. Like who? How do you get
the
mad
crazy
at that?
thing is? What the crazy thing is, with all the losses that happened, you were like, man, so much for going back to the Super Bowl, and then here comes reload time, and you're like, never mind, Howie, we're sorry. Like, I mean, what you gotta say after you lose all the players that you lost, that you just brought in to go to the Super Bowl? You're like, okay, it's rebuild time, and then
got younger at the same position.
It went rebuild to reload like this, and it was crazy.
Right.
And lost both coordinators. Like, stop complaining. That's a loser mentality, man. Like,
it was impressive by Roseman.
It's weird to me. It's weird to me. People complaining like you're an adult and you're complaining that somebody else is getting praised for like
fandom. Come on,
right? Come on, man.
It's weird. And I hate the Eagles. And I'm still like that to me, like that's just like you're a loser. If you're getting upset that somebody else like do your job, like do well. So you could earn some praise, right?
But like Joe said, like the Eagles got depth behind the guys who left anyway. But they brought back leaders, so like Ringo doesn't have to be DB1. You got Slay there, right? You got Bradbury there, so you can learn from two dudes who are guys, good veterans, right? Good in the locker room. Same thing with Smith and Carter. They come in. There's guys on the side of him. Davis has already been there a year. Davis was kind of like a little bit of a coming in, like his character was a little bit, whatever. He don't say nothing. He don't say boo. You don't hear nothing about him. Just stuffing the run and eating in the backfield. So,
well, when you got Fletcher Cox next to you and Jason Kelsey lining up across from you, you're gonna keep your mouth shut. Yeah. So they got good leadership, and then they also got good young leadership, and they paid Jalen Hurts. So they have all of this young talent, and they're going to be able to pay a lot of them because their quarterback already got the bag.
Right.
All right. So this ain't an Eagles show. So I'm gonna let you guys, Boomer. Why don't you tell me about one of your winners?
So I'm kind of in between. So I'm going to get eaten up by my man up here, but I don't care. One of my biggest winners. Oh, I went down my loser list.
Houston Texans.
Yeah. So it's funny. Let's talk about Houston Texans. I literally was just got a message on my phone about Houston Texans. So huge win on them. Not only did you take the pick, you moved to second, and then you decide to trade back in and go up and get Will, who me and Nino had Will Anderson as our one beginning of the season. And with his attitude and how him and CJ, talk to each other in the conference, I was so impressed with CJ Stroud. And he stops everybody. There's a kid in the wheelchair wanting to ask a question in the dead center. He stops the entire room and says, "Hey, my man, what's your question?" And my respect went out the roof for this guy because his leadership showed right then. and I thought it was a great move. He FaceTimes Tank Dell before Tank Dell gets the phone call and said, "Hey, they're coming to get you." Mm-hmm. That's impressive, man. And we love Tank Dell at the Senior Bowl. Nobody was better than Tank Dell first day. Nobody. I mean, best route runner, best catching, everything. He embarrassed dudes. And then he walked back and we were talking to him. He's like, "I'm going to shut it down tomorrow." If him shutting it down on day 2 was him shutting it down, I'm telling you, he going to put some people on notice. Because he ain't 5'8". We stand right next to that dude. He's not 5'8". I mean, I'm wearing boots in that interview. And I'm shorter than him. So he's wearing cleats in the turf. He's 5'10". I don't care what anybody says.
And he's put together well. He's
rock solid.
Yeah, he's put together. I like their draft, and I like the fact that they went for it with their new coach. They gave him the opportunity. But Nino, we don't have to be all rainbows and butterflies.
Ooh,
what are your thoughts on the Texans? Sorry, I'm in your head.
Listen, I know. They got Stroud and they got Will Anderson, but the value they gave up to go back at 3, right? They gave up the 12th, the 33rd. They're only first next year and the 3rd next year. Like, why wouldn't you just draft Anderson at 2, wait for somebody at 33 at QB or the best player on the board, especially with Caleb available and Drake May as the top 2 guys coming in next year, right? Now you got no hope next year at the first round. Expectations already of the Texans drafting the top 3 next season, right? You have no first-round pick. And then outside of the guys in the first round, I get it. You got Stroud and Anderson. They filled a hole with Drew Suggs. That they needed that. Their center was absolute garbage, right? Scott, I'm probably going to mess up his name. I'm going to go with Scotty Cuberry, right? He was 62% run block and win rate, 86.8 win rate in the past, which were both 40 or below in the league at starting. That's terrible. Dell was a win. We discussed that already. I get it. But now, Dylan Thornton at the edge and Henry Tutu, in my eyes, they're like middle of the pack ladder. And the guys that they have are probably as good or not better in Kersey, Perriman, Littleton. And then they draft another backup center in Jarrett Patterson, Brandon Joseph at safety. Xavier Hutchinson could hit, right? But they needed a wide receiver. So that was not really – it's a toss-up. I just don't know. The capital that they gave up to go back at 3 when you could have taken Will at 2 and then see how the board fell, right? And then you got the first-round pick next year. You can go get the guy. I think they won a little bit. I don't think they won as much as everybody thinks.
I have to disagree in this aspect. I mean, we're boys and whatnot, but in the aspect that you're worried about trading back, getting, Henry Toto that late. I mean, to fill a role and be behind 2 veteran linebackers, he's going to learn behind Kersey and Perryman. And Perryman 2 years ago was the leading tackler in the NFL. So if he can learn from them and be in midseason and pull a Devin Lloyd for me, which getting him that late.
Hey, he's Katy Perry, bro. He's hot and cold. One year he's hot, next year he's cold.
I don't think
he was injured.
Yeah, there's a reason why he fell that far, dude.
I get that, but we can sit. Drew, dude, let's be real. Drew Sanders was nobody at Alabama and became one of the top linebackers in football the next year. So, but 1 year, all it takes. And
I get that, Pop, but that's a lot of value to give up, man. That's a lot of value. The 2 picks.
I mean, they have a ton of cap. I really think, and I understand it's a lot of value, right? We can go the other way, and we're going to get into it probably in a little bit. But Arizona gave up every pick they have, it seems like. So,
well, why don't we can get right into that? But I do want to say maybe they felt a little risky going for Stroud, and I like the fact that Will Anderson is pretty much as safe of a bet as you could have had from this draft class. So they hedged their bets, and it hurt, I'm sure, because if they missed on Stroud, it's going to hurt a lot more. But I like that they did make the move to go up and get something secure. So they had a top 3 pick, might have blown it, and then got one anyway and got a safe pick. So it's either, and then also I know they lose the draft capital, but you bring in a guy like Will Anderson, say he takes off, he becomes like a superstar. Say CJ Stroud starts to take off, he becomes a little bit of a superstar. Then you don't have a draft pick next year, but now you probably had a problem getting people to Houston. Yeah, people didn't want to go to Houston. So you're hoping, and this is all hope. Like, this ain't fact, but maybe that's what's going through there. But
So
for that aspect, that keeps that puts it in the middle.
Say they take Will at 2, right? And the board shapes out differently.
Right.
And they could have still possibly got Stroud at 12. Like, and that was talked about before the draft even happened, that Stroud could fall. So, like, I don't know. That's where
you think the Colts would have taken Stroud over Richardson?
I think they wanted Richardson the whole time. I think that was their dude, and I think that's all that mattered. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
right. KT, you got a winner for us?
Yeah. The first one I'm gonna go with. I know I'm gonna definitely get some disagreements here, but I love the production that they got with the picks they have, and that's the Cleveland Browns. I mean, they didn't have their first pick until the 3rd round. You get Cedric Tillman, my apologies. I think he could push to be a day one starter. I truly believe that. Then also they got Siaka, how you pronounce his last name? Ika, something like that, from Baylor. I think he can also possibly push for snaps. Granted, I believe defensively they play a 4-3, and I think he's pure zero technique, so it's kind of weird to have a zero technique and you draft him, but he's a football player at the end of the day, so I'm sure he'll do just fine at the 2 or 3 technique. DeJuan Jones, so coming into the draft, we seen at the Senior Bowl, we like, what is wrong with bro? Like, bro fell off the face of the earth.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Missing second day.
Yeah, and then the reason he fell in the draft is because he was telling teams that his first dream was to be an NBA basketball player. Really? So this why he fell, because he's a weirdo. Like, I don't know how to put it any other way. Right. But he's a mauler. We seen him handle a lot of these edge rushers on day one of the Senior Bowl. He didn't need to do anything else. He was mauling people. So I think to get him in the 4th round, I think he could push for day one snap. So those are 3 players that they got between 74th pick, 98th pick, 111 pick. And you think that those are their first 3 picks in the draft, and those first 3 picks can possibly be starters. I just love what they were able to do, even though they didn't have a lot of picks.
I love it.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I love the Tillman pick. I think pairing that with Bell and Cooper, and you still have DPJ there as well, like, and Joko at the tight end. There's playmakers all over the field.
More.
I love Njoku. I still love
and Elijah Moore came over in the trade.
Mm-hmm. So Nick Chubb is an absolute dude. I don't care.
But they tried to get rid of him, right? They put him on the market.
Yeah.
I just don't understand it. Why? Would
I don't either. Because
with
Nick
Kareem
Chubb
Hunt being.
Yeah. Nick Chubb's a dude. He's a stud. And these guys are all, like, I love it, KT. Tillman, Ika, DeJuan, like, Ika's a giant garbage can full of dirt. Like, you cannot move that man. Like, and maybe that's why he wasn't, like,
on the side
taken higher than a third. But he's just a big boy who's going to take up a lot of space. He's going to free up the linebackers. Tillman's a football player.
Yeah.
He's built like a football player. In the red zone, he's a different animal. Like, you put him in the red zone, and he is. And now you're going to have your safety is going to be watching Amari Cooper, because his routes, like in short space, absolutely elite. So he's going to be double covered. Now you're going to have Cedric Tillman running one-on-ones on the outside. Just throw it up. So and
Elijah
Jones
Moore?
a mauler.
Elijah Moore in the middle of the field can just destroy the slot. Like, it's going to be wild over there. If Watson can be Watson.
And then Thompson Robinson, if not nothing, he could be the scout team, like, quarterback. Like, he
100%.
I love DTR.
I think he's going to push him.
I'm with you. I'm with you there, Boomer.
You know what I mean? Like, obviously it's Watson's job, but DTR is coming in there with a chip on his shoulder, be like, yo, I'm not just here to just be automatically back, bro.
They got a decent quarterback room, too. They got Joshua Dobbs. They got Kellen Moore. So it'll be interesting to see who falls out, but I agree. I think DCR, especially year one, can certainly help out being a scout team QB.
All right, Boomer, you got another winner for us.
All right, so it's funny because I actually wanted to discuss one of KT's, but Deuce Vaughn and the Cowboys, with that's just one of the coolest stories of the draft. Yeah. With his dad being able to call him and, say, hey, what's up? And, my phone's not working, but how would you like me to come to work with me next week? That's just cool. We obviously love Deuce. We think he's a great running back. The weird thing is on that is he's very similar to Pollard. I mean, and if there was ever a Kansas State running back that has come out that looks like an older Kansas State running back, like Darren Sproles, it's Deuce Vaughn.
Yeah.
Size, speed, strength, and dude, Darren Sproles stayed in the league. So Deuce, I would tell you, meeting that dude in person when they beat Oklahoma, which was tough for me on my birthday, but
Smoked him.
That dude's
Smoked him.
rock solid. And he ain't about that smoke, dude. He don't care. He does not. Everybody was chirping him. He's like, let me have it. Let me have it. I mean, which you can see that's his dad in him. So I think Dallas, had such a great draft, with Mize, we've seen that workout video, 800-pound, thing. And then, dude's falling that late. I just really love the move. I love that CD stayed the focus, bring with Cooks over and, just brought a little help for him. Schumacher was really good for Dallas that late because I've never seen tight ends come off the board so fast in my league life during the draft. So to see that was crazy. So I feel like they got a good guy that can block and pass and catch. Sorry. But Vaughn is just one of my favorite picks of the draft.
I like it. I also think as far Kevontae Turpin came in last year and he was electric. He was electric, but there were if you watch the playoff games, there were a lot of times where there were huge windows and he ran right into the back of a blocker. I wouldn't be surprised if Vaughn doesn't just take some touches from Pollard. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Vaughn take some touches from Turpin because they're not locked to Turpin. Turpin got like a 3-year, $2 million deal. I think he's owed like $800,000 this year. And I want him to succeed because he's a lightning rod, but as fast and as explosive as he is, I don't know if the vision is there. And that's something you see with Deuce. Deuce in the open field, dude, leaves jock straps everywhere. Like
broken ankles.
Yeah.
That dude's got quads for days, too. Like, to be his size, that dude's got quads for days.
Solid.
Like MJD quad, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Nino, who's your next winner?
I didn't have any winner before. I was just rebutting on the Texans. So my first winner, I'm gonna go with the Bengals here. I'm gonna go with the IDP side of me. They let Jesse Bates go, right? Von Bell. Dax Hill is healthy. They go out and get a cerebral player in Jordan Battle from Alabama. Alabama's everywhere, right? So you got a young secondary for years, locked up at least 3, probably more. Then they go and add Charlie Sizzle Jones to the wide receiver core, right? It's going to help because Boyd's going to be a free agent. They really haven't locked down T. Higgins. They probably will, but he hasn't been locked down. Can he play the slot? Because he hasn't played the slot since Buffalo. But either way, he's going to eat into Irv Smith receptions. So it's security in the wide receiver department, and he's a playmaker. So with the Bengals, I think they did well. I'm going to go with another one here that just, you're going to call me a homer, and I'm one of those true Patriots fans. Shay's in the chat. He'll say that I tell it like this. I'll eat crow because, I'll go at Belichick. The QB's the lingering question. They didn't go after one, but they got a dude in my Ducks, Christian Gonzalez, right? They pay him with Marcus Jones and Kyle Duggar. That's legit secondary. Lockdown, right? Keyshawn Boutte in the 6th with Liberty Swiss Army knife, Demario Douglas. That's a steal, right? Because 5 receivers on New England, and nobody's guaranteed. Parker and Bourne, they're not guaranteed money. Parker's money is only $5.6 million. They can cut that and let him go. So it doesn't matter. Just a year ago, Boutte was like first-round talent, right? I understand it was a foot injury, a little bit of a head case, had some background things come up. We don't really need to get into that, but it's just things. Maybe New England, like I said before, maybe New England, maybe Kansas City, or a spot where you go and land with, the leadership writes them and keeps them going. They also got KT's guy. I know you liked him too, coaches. Matu Mape, right? We saw him at the Senior Bowl ball out. Like, he's like Kyle Duggar 2.0. So now you're going back to that days of like Ronnie Harrison, right? You have bangers in the secondary, or freeing up spots where your linebackers can just roam and shoot gaps. Maybe we're gonna see a little bit of old school New England defense now, right? You got Judon could be excelled more with this secondary. He could just be able to just attack. Maybe we're going old school New England, and they're gonna try to. Hey, Boutte could possibly be there, Edelman. Who knows? But Demario Douglas is a speedster, and he's a special teams guy. So do not sleep on that dude. I know John Lobb loves him. That dude is a catching machine, and he's fast.
How's the dude they took in the kicker they took in the 4th? Like
bro, I don't understand. People that take kickers like didn't the 49ers take Moody like in like the 4th round? Why, bro?
I don't know.
These guys are gonna be there in the 6th, in the 7th. I don't understand.
He better be a dude if he's getting picked in the 4th. But I like Marte. I think he had an 85.9 run defense grade last year, 96th percentile in weight, 221 pounds. He's gonna be Swiss Army knife. You're gonna see him all over the defense. That's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, so they're gonna put Duggar in that McCourty role now, right? All right, McCourty's gone. You're gonna be, the guy's calling everything out. You're gonna be the guy in the back, the free guy. Marpe's gonna be the strong safety. Go out there, smash people, do whatever you need. Want to put him in the linebacker, put him in the box. That's what he's gonna do.
Yeah, versatile. I mean, those are two small school safeties too, so that's pretty exciting. Two
Belichick's
guys who
MO.
came from nothing. KT, who's your next winner?
My next winner is the Indianapolis Colts, and I know I'm gonna cause some trouble with this one, but it is what it is. Let's stir the pot a little bit. Of course, they took Anthony Richardson with that first pick. Nino, you thought they should have took Will Levis with that pick, correct?
Yeah, I think they should. If they're looking to get a guy to play this year, I think so. I know everybody says Steechin is going to teach him, but is Jalen Hurts just the outlier to that with him? Like, Jalen Hurts is a much better passer, a strong, you know what I mean, and a stronger quarterback than Anthony Richardson.
We can say that now. Can we say that year one at Alabama or year two at Alabama?
Yes, he was about 50% completion in Alabama. Lost his job, was damn near 60.
Man, at the
He threw
national
80% of the junior.
in the national championship game, the wide receivers.
One game is not a season.
The wide receivers,
one game doesn't make a season.
The wide receivers were getting upset how off his throws were. They were like, I remember the wide receivers being wide open in the back of the end zone and him missing them by like 10 yards.
I get it. And Tua came in and won the game. I'm 100, but then he went to Oklahoma, balled out. But he wasn't. There was no 33% games, 22% games. Come on, KT, you know it. Anthony Richardson threw 33%. Through 5 games were almost less than 125 yards. But like, come on, there was nothing happened to Jalen Hurts.
I'm on record for saying that Anthony Richardson. I don't believe the hype several times, but I believe there was the best system for him to be a part of. It's Shane Steichen's system. Like, I truly believe that. We've seen quarterbacks come in the league with terrible percentages. Josh Allen is one of them. Jim Kelly is another one. You look at his college stats. He's a sub 50% passer in college. Yes, I know it's 1980 something, and the pass game was different.
Who besides Hurts did Steichenson deliver?
Herbo.
Who?
Justin Herbert.
He delivered Herbert? Herbert was a dude.
Herbert wasn't the dude.
He was 61% completion out of Oregon. Can we? I'm not going to do this. We can't.
He wasn't the dude. He wasn't that dude though. Coming out of Oregon,
he was a better quarterback.
No.
He was a better quarterback.
At that point for sure.
When he came out, no one was like, "This guy is a surefire can't miss prospect." Nobody.
Okay. So here's the thing, right? You need to watch the video where I said, because I originally wasn't watching a whole lot of tape on Herbert, and then before the draft, and I will pull that video up. I said, "Listen, this dude has an absolute howitzer. And I think he's probably the best quarterback in the draft." I will find the video.
Probably
right?
though, but probably is different than.
But he was more developed than Anthony.
No. He was more developed, but that's still a part of Shane Steichen's resume. Like, you can't take it away from him because he was more developed.
I'm sorry. I'm with Nino on this with Richardson. I wouldn't have drafted in the first round. So there's that.
I don't care about the first round. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying putting all that because Steichen did it with Jalen Hurts. Right? Mm-hmm. And now you say both of those guys are more progressed ahead than A-Rich is now. So is it all Steichen's development, or is it they were already in that road of developing on their own?
He played a role. I mean, it's a part of his resume. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, can we really say Jalen Hurts was part of his resume? Because I really think he changed it because of Lincoln Riley. He became a draft pick because of Lincoln Riley. He wouldn't have been drafted in Alabama.
Absolutely. But we've seen Jalen Hurts look bad his rookie and his sophomore season. We've seen moments he has not played well.
Moments in a year.
I mean, every quarterback.
You got Bailey.
For sure. I'm not arguing
that. Let's flip the script, right? It's A-Rich has more bad moments than good, where Jalen Hurts has more good moments than bad. They can't be in the same talk. The opposite.
Yeah, they're not in the same conversation.
That's because you guys are seeing the final output. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
look at college.
You
were typing.
No.
You typed up Jalen Hurts. What was the percentage that year?
Look at who.
No, it was 60
at Oklahoma.
It was 60.
System at Oklahoma.
It was 60, bro.
Look who's around him at Alabama. Come on. Like, you have to think that plays into it as well. Oklahoma's system was absolutely perfect for him, and he had studs all around him. Who's Anthony Richardson throwing to at Florida?
Justin Shorter, who got drafted by the Buffalo Bills.
In what round? The sixth round? Come on.
Okay, I'm just saying. But he has a good running game. He has 2 dudes
Hollywood
great
Brown.
running backs.
It's not CeeDee Lamb. It's not
Montrell
Jerry
Johnson
Jeudy.
averaged 8
It's
yards
not
a rush.
Henry Ruggs. It's not like, come on. I think that plays in. I'm not saying that plays into it though.
All right. Well, anyway, back to my original.
We're gonna bathroom board this one anyway. At the end of the year,
yeah. We got to. We got to. But the Indianapolis Colts picks wasn't just about AR. It's also about the talent that they have around him. I love the Josh Downs picks. I know Nino's not the. Were you up on? You were up on Josh Downs? Okay. It was, who was it? Somebody know that wasn't that big on Josh Downs. I'm not sure.
I don't mind him. I just don't think. I think that he had too much hype. I mean, if I put him in my guy together, I'm gonna take my guy. So
Mims, you take Mims.
I'm gonna take the 20 yards per catch and 85% catch rate with 4 quarterbacks instead of 2 quarterbacks that were legit quarterbacks.
I like Downs.
I'm with KT on this one.
I also love the John Michael Schmitz pick. Day one starter. I think Downs is going to push Isaiah McKenzie. I've seen him in Buffalo the last 3 years. He could definitely take that slot spot away from him.
John Michael Smith's the next Jeff Saturday.
Whoa.
Wait, John Michael Schmitz.
That's lofty. Those are lofty words.
Schmitz went to the Giants.
Yeah, Schmitz went to the Giants.
Am I looking at my Giants notes? I'm looking at my Giants notes. My apologies.
It's all good.
I was about to say, because he legit is the best center in this draft. I don't care anybody says.
Yeah. I got too far ahead of myself.
I get to humble flex to all the Giants fans. Like, being in New York, I have everyone around me is a Giants fan, so I get to be like, oh, I saw him at the Senior Bowl. Yeah, I was there. Did great.
I went to look at defensive linemen that day. Yes, and talking to Nino, I said I'm going to watch defensive linemen, and I was locked on to Schmitz. Right. I was like, So I couldn't stop looking at. Dude was everybody.
He's a dog. I'm gonna talk a little bit about him more when I'm talking about the Giants pick. Blake Freeland is who I really was talking about. I think that's great value on the 4th. I think he could push for snaps. Also, Julius Brents. Y'all know how I feel about Julius Brents.
Huge steal.
Day one starter. Get him in the 2nd round, and then Darius Rush. Don't sleep on him. I think he could push for starting snaps. In the nickel. I actually think he will be starting in the nickel for them. So I love what the Colts did. Yes, AR gets a lot of the talk, but don't overlook everything else that they did in the draft.
It's good to see the NFL valued the South Carolina cornerbacks just how I valued them. That felt good. All right, my winners. One of my winners, the Baltimore Ravens. Zay Flowers, electric. Trenton Simpson, electric. Kyle Blue Kelly in the 5th round.
That's electric. A hell of a pickup. Yeah.
And then Voorhees, who tore his ACL, is going to be out for a while. You got him in the 7th. You get to sit and you get the red shirt with that guy. I think those are. Flowers is going to start right away. Trenton Simpson's going to start right away, right? We think Patrick Queen might be on the way out, and he's going to make him expendable so they could take some of that money. They could put it elsewhere. And you know how I feel about Kelly. Kelly, I think there's people that just are kind of meant to be a Raven, right? Like, he's one of those guys where he just finds. I saw it like up close and personal. You saw it up close and personal. He found a way to find turnovers. He's not going to be their cornerback 1, but he's going to be on the field. He's going to get a lot of targets. So if you're playing, this is an IDP bonus. This is an IDP bonus for you, Jared, right? Because if you play in cornerback leagues, the corners that you want to start are rookies who are opposite a lockdown corner, because that means they are going to get targeted a lot. And this guy, he's going to get targeted a lot. He gets his hands on the football and he makes tackles. So that's a win for me. So Jared, take us through another win if you got one.
Well, I kind of still want to talk about the Bengals because we didn't talk about Miles Murphy. We didn't talk about Brown. Murphy I thought was a great pick. I understand he wasn't – I still think ever since Brent Venables left, they don't use the defensive lineman right. You can see that this last year. Miles Murphy had one of the best high school tapes I've ever seen in football for a defensive lineman. Like, it's ridiculous. Just go look it up. He embarrasses everybody. Like, it's
better than Clowney.
Every single game for his high school game, is a highlight reel. I mean, he gets like 4 tackles, busting through the middle every single game, and doesn't play at a small school. So that's a big one, right? But getting Brown with everything going on with Mixon and keeping it on the down low, he could be a day one starter with P. Ryan gone now. It was such a great value pick. And as a fantasy football wise, you got to be looking at him. Like, he's an absolute dude. He probably won our league, me and Nino's, best ball league for me, to be honest with you. I mean, just every single week he kept getting points for Illinois. And they don't have anything else. They didn't. They had a good defensive safety and a good defensive running back. And oddly enough, they're twins. So there's that.
Oddly enough, Nino, you got a winner for us?
Yeah, I got I know everybody hates Kirk Cousins, but they just keep putting pieces around him. The Vikings, I think, is a win. And they added Addison with JJ in O'Connell's offense, which is just he said last year he wants to make it air raid. He wants to spread it out more, right? They're saying that they want to move Cook, whether they're going to cut him or they're going to trade him. Madison's more of that pass catching RB. Yeah, he can run the rock, but he's more of that pass catcher. And it's what O'Connell wanted to do, spread the offense. Now you're freeing up Osborne, right? It's a possibility that who I think should have waited to come out this year, second-year wide receiver Jalen Naylor could have more of an opportunity in the offense if they're going 4 wide. Hawkinson's your tight end. He's going to roam and eat up in the middle. So just in that pick alone, I think the Minnesota Vikings are winners.
Yeah, I agree. It was a massive pick for them. I mean, huge pick. It makes them very dangerous, and I think Dalvin's going to come back and stay, by the way. But I'm going to give you something about the Vikings as part of my winner that we're talking about the Vikings that we're not talking about, and it's a little IDP preview. Nobody has talked about how they didn't draft a linebacker. And the first question I asked their GM at the combine is like, hey, with everything moving, what do you think happened? The first name he brought up was Nick Bonito. Right? Obviously, I'm an Oklahoma guy, but when you say the name, I was like, man, that's cool to me. But then you don't draft a linebacker, and Dalvin Cook is talking about how, hey, he's carrying the number 33 really good. I think he's the guy. And then Kendricks leaves, and they don't pick a guy up. Watch out. Nick Bonito is a dude that I'm going to pick up in IDP, 100%.
I like it. KT, I know you want to talk about those Giants. So have that.
Yeah, let's talk about the Giants a little bit. John Michael Schmitz, we loved him at the Senior Bowl. I remember Coach talking a lot about him. He's going to be good for years to come. Deontay Banks, I had a chance to interview him. The love that he received at Maryland at the spring game, he literally was in New York, did all of the, crap you got to do after you get drafted, then came to the spring game. The players were so excited to see him. He was on the field with Coach Loxley, so it was kind of cool to see that. We already talked about John Michael Schmitz. Jalen Hyatt, he gets that mantra of, a broken play, artist or whatever you want to call him. I think you guys posted today that video with one of the Cowboys personnel asking him, but can you run routes though? I think he's going to slowly get a chip on his shoulder, and it's going to piss him off. And he's with one of the best play callers in the NFL in Brian Daboll. And then they got Boomer's guy. We really don't know what the future holds for the Giants and Saquon Barkley. Eric Gray's going to get touches this year. He's definitely going to get touches. So I really like what they did. How were you guys on the Giants?
I like Banks. I love Schmitz. I think those two are home runs.
Steal, yeah.
Gray, I think they will get touches. I agree with you. I just don't know how much. Are they going to use him in the run game or the pass game, right? Because I know he gets shifty out the backfield catching the ball. He's a dude with it. So that he could offset Barkley. He could be in there week 1 getting touches. You could be 100% correct on that.
Giants fans are definitely trying to talk Gray up. They're talking themselves into Gray because they have a feeling that at any moment Barkley could be gone. Yeah. Whether it's right away. So Giants fans believe, and they're excited about him. And there's a moment where the backfield might be his, and it might be, who knows, sooner than later. And Hyatt, what excites me about Hyatt is Waller being there as well, because Waller's a field stretcher. So now you got to defend 2 guys. Waller's a big, physical field stretcher who does very well down the seam. You're going to have to worry about him. You have to worry about Hyatt taking the top off the defense. And then in the future, the Giants are going to have to go with the wide receiver one within 1 or 2 of the next drafts. And then that's going to make Hyatt even better when they got a true alpha wide receiver on the outside, because I do think he's got a skill set, but he's good at his skill set.
So I'm going to give you go ahead.
Go ahead, Boom. Go.
Okay, so I talked to Eric Gray the other day. I asked him, hey, you wore number 0 at Oklahoma. Are you wearing number 0? Now that they can wear number 0.
You can wear it in the NFL now, yeah.
Yeah, they just changed it, and he told me he wants to wear number 1.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
I like that.
So just a little pun from Eric. Want to give it a little shout out to him. So I do think that he gets some touches. Will be a lot of fun. Love Smits. Obviously, I think that they had one of the better drafts. I love how high, like you said, you think he has a little bit of chip on his shoulder. I think he's got a boulder on that thing right now.
Yeah.
So, especially that thing's getting views, a lot of views. So
I get it, and it's getting views, right? But I think everybody's watching the words. Watch his feet, dude. There's a reason why he's not an elite route runner.
I was going to say, he says it, and then the rest of the clip, like I was thinking,
from the waist up.
Maybe like the NFL, whoever's the producer putting those clips together is going to come out and throw something crispy, like right after he watch me and go out and do something. And he runs a post.
Yeah.
And he runs a go.
Yeah.
And he runs
So with that though, he has Sterling Shepard there, who is an elite route runner. I mean, because he's not really fast, to be honest, but he's always open for some reason. And Oklahoma, he was like that too. He's never been fast. He's been really quick.
I liked him coming out of Oklahoma.
He's got hands. He doesn't drop the
ball. He's
ball.
got phenomenal hands. Yeah. And, I think it's kind of like the Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb thing. Amari Cooper was an elite route runner, right? CeeDee Lamb was a good route runner, but not elite, right? And he's probably an elite route runner now. So sometimes you just need the right guy with you to, push you. So I think Sterling Shepard helps him a lot.
He has the thing you can't teach. Speed.
There's
no teaching that. He got that in the
ball
bag.
tracking
That's his
as well.
MO. So
he tracks the ball really well.
And then he's got hands. So I mean, but you can teach that stuff, right? You can teach ball tracking. Speed you can't teach. You either got it, you don't got it. And he's got it. And I'm not hating on the guy.
Some guys are finishers too. He knows how to finish.
Yeah, you can feel 100%.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna read off a few quick winners we haven't mentioned yet before we go to losers. One of them being the team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, getting Joey Porter at the second, making the fan base happy. Like, that was a huge win. Not only did you get a very good football player, but now the whole fan base has to be fired up, along with Broderick Jones, Keanu Benton, Darnell Washington, who had injury concerns. That's why he fell. But they don't need him to be the number one. They got Freiermuth out there. They could go and put him in, and he's going to be – imagine now when they're in their big package, right? When they got Najee Harris in the backfield, you bring Darnell Washington out, you put him in motion, you put Najee right behind him. It's going to be pure Pittsburgh.
Did you see the combine tape with Washington pushing the sled?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Oh my gosh. We're still another offensive lineman. It's night and day.
It's in his Twitter profile. 6th offensive lineman. It says it already.
I've kind of said, like, throughout the process too. I mentioned Martellus Bennett. Yeah. Martellus Bennett. Parcells said that if Martellus Bennett just added 20 pounds and just transitioned to tackle, he would have been a Hall of Fame tackle. He had that good of feet, that good of hands, and it seems like Washington. I don't know necessarily how good of a blocker he is, but he's very close to being an offensive tackle. All right,
Lane Johnson.
Yeah.
Jason Peters?
He was a tight end. Yeah. He was a tight end. He was number 86 for the Bills in preseason, and they moved him over to tackle. Lee Smith was a great blocking tight end as well.
Yeah, Lane Johnson was a quarterback coming out of high school in Oklahoma.
Get the heck out of here.
Like, who's the dude from Kentucky?
That's a fun fact. I like that.
God rest his soul. The Kentucky
Lorenzo?
Lorenzo. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought of when you said that about him playing quarterback. All right, I'm going to rip through a few quick ones. Jonathan Mingo. Going in the second round, that draft capital is a huge win for him. Going in the second round, now they're going to have to start him. He's going to get an opportunity early, and the depth chart isn't that great. So I think it's a win for him. Hendon Hooker, going to Detroit. We mentioned this the other day. That draft capital, the third-round draft capital, limits how quickly he's going to get forced in. They don't have to force him in. Right. They can let him take a year or two. Being in Detroit where they got some weapons, some young weapons, being in an indoor controlled environment, I like that. And Rashee Rice, going and playing with Kansas City. I think that's a huge win. And Devon Achane I think it's a great fit for him to Miami. So those are just a few
More
ones.
speed.
Yeah, more speed.
Hey,
Like
the Broncos, like he says, with their limited picks, Raleigh Moss. Hey,
Right.
IDP, that's a big pick, right? I'm telling you,
Dog.
'cause
Yeah.
he's a dog. Like across from Surtain, he's gonna get some love, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jail Skinner, when he gets healthy, he's gonna replace Simmons. It's just gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mims, will probably be the number 1 or number 2 guy. I promise you that.
Oh,
It's
no
just
doubt.
one of the things.
No doubt.
One of those
So-
guys got to get traded now. One of them has to go. There's
cut.
too many.
or cut.
Well, they
Yeah.
extend Hamler.
Hey,
So
Hamler's
KJ
getting cut, bro.
got the
Did Sutton
extension,
did
though.
Sutton get the bag? Did
Yeah,
Sutton get a
Sutton
contract?
and Judy got the extensions, didn't they?
I don't know. I feel let's look into it, but I do. And then so Mims and then Drew Sanders. So yeah, they had limited picks, but all of these guys can play.
Right.
Hey, Drew Sanders got dual eligibility in fantasy, so there's that.
Amen. Amen. All right, let's talk about some losers. All right, some L's. Nino, you got any losers for us?
So I know Mace is my guy, and Boomer's probably going to get at me for this, but I think the 49ers kind of lost at this draft a little bit. I was kind of dumbfounded by some of the picks. Like, you took Jair Brown, which I love him, right? But everybody in 49er world loves Hufanga, and Jared is going to be the guy that is going to back this up. He was good in his end of his rookie year. He started out great in 2023, but when Greenlaw got healthy, his production slowed down, and there was no impact plays. He was just there.
100%.
You're adding in Jair Brown at the safety position, right? There's legit competition, and they brought back Gibson Jr., Gibson Senior. So like, they have talent there. So one guy's gonna be the odd man out. Who? I don't know. I get Kittle plays tough, and he's not gonna be there forever. You took 2 tight ends. One of them last year was talked about as being a top 3 tight end on Alabama. Fell, right? One of them come out the Senior Bowl was known by multiple coaches saying that he's a Swiss Army knife. So that you got Cameron Latou and Willis out of Oklahoma, which is Jared's boy. There's a logjam at tight end, right? Obviously, they drafted the tight ends because they don't know what's going on with Kittle, how long he's going to last. But 2 of them, I think Latou is kind of like a wasted pick because I think Willis is going to be in there early because I think he can play as a fullback, as a tight end, in the slot. He can play everywhere for them. So Latou seems like a kind of a question pick, almost like the last running back picks 2 years for them they had. Like, didn't really make any sense. TDP and Trey Sermon, like those didn't fit the scheme, right? And then we love D. Winters, but you are bottlenecked at the linebacker position. Warner, Greenlaw, Burke, right? And then you drafted Robert Beal Jr. on top of it. So it's like, I'm just totally confused with the picks when there are other aspects that you could address. Quarterback, maybe, because you don't know if it's going to be Sam Donald week 1 or maybe another guy to protect these guys up front and keep that run game going. Elijah Mitchell's kind of been like glass, so if CMC goes down, who's the dude behind him?
I got the epiphany.
Go ahead, Boom.
I just realized during this whole thing you rant, and I love when you rant because it helps me think. This is a real thing. They panicked. They lose the best defensive coordinator in football. They panicked and like, you know what? We got to get another linebacker. We got to get another safety. You know, we got to fill some roles. We love D Winters. I always love Braden Willis. That's my guy. Like I talked to him all day the other day, and honestly, it was the best pick they made in the 7th round because they know that they can use him wherever. They can line up in the slot. They can play him like Kittle. They can block him as a fullback because
Oklahoma tight ends, like there was another guy who came out a few years ago who did that. Who went to Philly, I think.
He went to New York, but he got injured again. So Trey Miller's who you're talking about, but he got injured. So I love Trey, but he actually went to Detroit. They have that, but always been a halfback. He's a converted wide receiver. You know, all the other guys been converted fullbacks, you know, to tight ends. So, I love D Winters. I think Oren Burks is on the bench, to be honest with you. I think Winters makes that move and becomes the guy. He's a ball hawk.
Then why
his
draft
highlight
Beal?
reel was against Georgia, but
why draft Beal though? Like that's what I'm saying. Like the questions, like I just get confused.
Again, panicked.
Talent, yeah,
100% panicked on the deal. So I'm with you. I believe they panicked and just didn't draft real needs, to be honest with you.
It's odd to me.
KT, you got a loser for us?
The Washington Commanders, I wasn't quite sure what they were doing. If I'm being honest, like you have a talent like Christian Gonzalez on the board, and you just say, "I want E Forbes." Like they could have traded back and got E Forbes. What were they doing?
I told you this. Oh, you weren't on the last show. I apologize. The Trayvon Diggs effect. They're looking at guys that could take things to the house, right? Forbes took 6 of them to the house last year. So they look at, oh, Diggs can be the guy hit or miss. We'll just get another guy that can be a lockdown, but he can put points on the board when our offense is stagnant. That's the way I look at it because it makes no other sense.
All I see every time I see him is King Henry pushing Norman.
Oh my God.
He's just going to get bossed every single time a running back comes around the corner. I can't get out of my head. I was shocked. I was sitting there talking to somebody and they called it and I was like,
with Porter and Gonzalez on the board.
Yeah, everybody was on the board.
With Gonzo on the board, I just didn't get it at all.
And Banks is home, like he's playing in Maryland.
The road.
Right.
Yeah. What are you doing?
And more importantly, I think they're trying to sell that organization. Who wants to invest a whole bunch of money? Yes, it's in a hotbed. It's in a big city. I just don't get it.
Let's move them boys to Oklahoma.
And then they took another defensive back in the second round and Martin. And I like Martin, but like I said, the Commanders, I'm just not sure the direction.
I think they re-signed both of them.
He wasn't even. They took the worst guy out of Maryland. Why?
They re-signed both of them.
He's a special teams demon.
I agree. He's a special teams demon, but I ain't going for a special teams demon in the second round.
And then, KT, they already have a bottleneck at running back, right? Why?
Yeah.
Go get C-Rod.
And we like C-Rod, and that's the hardest thing. I'm not sure what the future of this organization.
And it's kind of similar to Brian Robinson. It'd be one thing like they know. I don't think Gibson's there for a long time or a good time. I think he's not there for either one of those times.
Right.
I think it's Brian Robinson, and then to pair him with C-Rod, who kind of runs similar to him. He's like a bigger version of him. Robinson's a little more compact, but they both run very hard. It's not like they have, they're not going to bring different things to the table. So it is a little bizarre. But we like him, and I want to see him succeed.
Right, for sure.
Yeah, so I have a loser, and some people might look at me sideways with this one because he just got Bijan Robinson next to him, and that's Desmond Ridder. But I think the clock has started ticking the moment that selection was made. And he didn't get much time. This is year 2. That might seem unfair, but he's going to come out. He's going to start at quarterback with Bijan Robinson next to him, with Kyle Pitts at tight end, with Drake London at wide receiver. They're going to have Tyler Algier, Cordell Patterson. They're going to have some weapons around him. And I think the spotlight is going to be on him. And especially in the realm of fantasy football, a lot of people who watch football are watching it from a fantasy football perspective, whether you like it or not. And if these people are watching these games and they're seeing the guys they took early, like Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts, aren't producing, fingers are going to be pointed. He's going to be a name. There's going to be a lot of talk, and let's see if he can avoid that conversation. So I think he's a loser because the pressure is going to be on.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Boomer, and then I'll
I just have money saying they drafted quarterback in the first round, and it's probably Drake May. So
I 100%. But he might maybe he gets it done.
I have said this countless times. I'm not a fantasy guy. I'm an X's and O's guy. I trust my eyes. Point blank. Period. I understand that Algier isn't the game-breaking back that Bijan is. I understand that Bijan is probably the best back to come into the draft in the last few years. Wasn't there more apparent holes for the Atlanta Falcons?
Oh, yeah.
Just to sit there and grab a running back. They weren't in a position to grab a BPA or a luxury pick. They was in a position they needed to fill needs. And
listen, if you wanted that quarterback in the future, they could have moved back, acquired another first, so that next year they have the capital to go up and get a guy while also moving back and getting a piece that could help your team right away.
They have so much cap space. I can't believe they haven't done a ton of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the cap space that they have is ridiculous.
But what's available for what they need? Like that's sort of there's not.
But that's the thing is they didn't do it in the offseason. I mean, there's tons of guys they could have got for nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean,
Lamar.
Wide receiver 2 on that
Hopkins still
team.
with the Cardinals.
Hey, wide receiver 2 on that team is Mac Hollins, bro.
Oh, I know.
You couldn't have drafted any of these guys. You couldn't have taken Hutchinson. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right. Hey, my question is why didn't you bring in Bryce Ford Wheaton?
Exactly. The dude who just signed to San Francisco from that they just signed UDFA that put himself on Twitter and got a deal, bro. Like, because the kid was a dog.
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about that.
I'm sorry, Moon. Don't be mad at me, but your GM organization, those guys are people at power. They need to be talked to.
All right. We are getting close to the end of the line. So, Boomer, I want you to rattle through some of your losers here.
Real quick, Mike Williams, the Los Angeles Chargers wide receivers, with exception of Quentin Johnson, are a loser. My biggest losers, Patrick Queen. They do the draft. They take our guy Trenton Simpson, and they said, "Hey, bro, we're not going to give you your 5th year, so just expect it. If you don't completely ball out and be the leading linebacker this year, which you're not going to be because we're not going to give you that chance, we're going to ship you off." And guess what? The Raiders are looking at you. So there's that.
I think the Giants would too. The Giants were.
I think with them getting Bobby Okereke is a little different.
Yeah.
So
I didn't think about that too.
I'm to New England, bro.
Oh shit!
Come on, Queen. Come on down.
Hey, there's plenty of people that would love him. To be honest with you, I can think of at least 6 places right now that would take him.
KT, go ahead, Nino. I'm sorry.
I see your next loser.
Which one?
The Buffalo one. But I just got something that I want to talk about with it, and it just
it's Dawson Knox.
Yes.
It's Dawson Knox, and it's because I kind of think his days are numbered. So go ahead, talk to me.
So tight ends taken in the first round in the last 10 years. You show me a stud, right? I'm gonna go to 2014. Eric Ebron. 2 years after that, there was nothing.
Let's not talk about stats. What does it say that franchise thinks about him? The fact that they took a tight end in the first round. So forget what he's gonna do. What does it tell you, Buffalo?
What about
all?
But the guys in this list are all thought of that way, and there's
no. It's not. It's not what they think about the guy they're taking. It's what they think about the guy that is making them feel like they need to take a guy.
I got you. You're saying Dawson Knox is out because they took.
He's an afterthought. Like they felt like they needed somebody. So I hear what you're saying. And
I think it was I honestly think it was a kind of San Francisco pick. They kind of got nervous. There was other holes that they needed to fill, bro.
And they jumped Dallas to take him. Like they felt like they needed to come and get him.
That was the piece that's going to get you to the Super Bowl? I don't think so. Where's your number 2 wide receiver? Unless he's going to play wide receiver.
They say he's going to play slot.
That's what Dino said. Like right away.
Oh, hey, if that's the case, then I'm with it. Bye Gabe Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Because the tight ends in the first round in the last 10 years have really not hit. It's Njoku, Ingram,
OJ
Howard.
Takes a while. Hawkinson didn't hit right away.
Yeah, and that was 2019.
Hey, near to Kelsey.
Right.
Yeah, but Kelsey wasn't a first rounder.
I get that, but I mean, he's somebody now. I'll give it his quarterback.
I'm talking about the capital.
Yeah. Albert Breer did say that, even though he was wrong one time for one of the picks during the draft, he did say he would be playing slot in Buffalo.
If that's the case, brother, he could eat. I mean, he's only played football for 2 years. Like, that's the thing. Like, legitimate football for 2 seasons and got drafted in the first round. So obviously,
I'm really surprised he got drafted after hearing the injury bug that hit him late in the season.
Fractured back, dude.
Right. Yeah, I was shocked he went in the first round, to be honest with you.
Think about him and Will McDonald. Will McDonald's another guy, not injury, but guy who started football real late. Late.
I loved him going to the Jets, bro. Like,
Will McDonald is going to be a monster over there.
Especially with Salah. He's going to figure this guy out. All right, KT, read off your losers for us, my guy.
I don't like calling this team a loser, but
you
Tennessee,
put 2 guys.
I'm not sure what Tennessee is doing. You guys talked about it on Tuesday about teams that draft players, but kind of tip their hands and they're not, getting rid of players before they get them. Buffalo did the same thing in 2010. I said that in the comment section. They had Fred Jackson, had Marshawn Lynch. They drafted C.J. Spiller. Oh, we want to trade Marshawn Lynch and got peanuts for him a year and some change later. He has the run that we all remember Beast Mode 4. Like, it's stupid. So you got Ryan Tannehill. You got Malik Willis. You're not gonna get nothing for him. He may end up getting cut because they said they done lost all hope. And bro, you get Will Levis. You got Tajay Spears. What are they doing with Derrick Henry? Didn't they also take Haskins last year in the draft?
That's what I was saying, and he got reps at the end of the year, so
they may have, depending on how this thing go out, they may have one day one starter, and that's Skoronski.
Yep.
And he'll be a dude. But other than
yeah,
that,
for sure, for sure.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you right now, Will Levis is the day one starter. Tannehill won't be there.
Okay.
Tannehill's probably gonna be back in Miami. They don't
think
want
so?
him. They're doing everything, and they're showing you they're doing everything to get rid of this guy because he can't get them past the hump. They go to playoff, and he stinks it, right? He's had, it's true, though. He's had 1.5 good years for them, right? And then he goes to the playoff and vomits on his shoes consistently.
Right. And their defense is always good enough to win.
Yes.
And he blows it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then, of course, we start questioning Derrick Henry, and he comes out with some stupid video where he's running uphill barefoot in the dirt, like, I'm the king. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Like, there's a log jam in the backfield. There's a log jam at the quarterback position. But when Malik Willis got benched for a dude who was a scouting QB and had never really started on any team, it was all over for that QB room. They were drafting the guy that was going to start week 1.
Yeah.
And that division was garbage. Like, they
might have the youngest quarterback division in football.
Right? Yeah.
That's a fact.
I mean, the oldest one is Trevor Lawrence.
Wow.
Trevor Lawrence.
Wow.
Trevor Lawrence. I recorded a short earlier today. Trevor Lawrence is his numbers this year are going to be absolutely.
Oh, he's a dog. He was a top 5 fantasy quarterback. But what I'm saying is, he's the old guy in the room.
And he's what, 23, 24?
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's awesome, dude.
That division is outside the Jaguars. The Jaguars, they might sweep that division this year.
Hey, would you ever go back like right after the Brunell years, right? Did you ever think you would say that again about the Jaguars? Because it was bad. Khan's first couple of years, like, bro, you have all the money, but what are you doing?
What the change for them wasn't just Trevor Lawrence. It was Doug Peterson.
100%.
I think Doug Peterson's when he left Philly, I was like, thank God, good riddance. But then they got this jerk off now. His roster, but like his roster is absolutely phenomenal. Jalen Hurts is the leader. Jalen Hurts is that coach of that team. I don't want to hear it. Like
what's funny is you guys all hated on me last year around this time when I was bigging up Jalen Hurts. Right? Everybody.
My only problem is Jalen Hurts couldn't throw the outside route, and he learned to do it.
But they know what they did. They're one of the only franchises in this game that said, okay, we're going to get a piece that will make him better at what he's not good at. Like, teams don't do that anymore. I don't understand what happened. I understand you want to get
We started with Howie Roseman, and we're ending with Howie Roseman.
They went and they got a piece. They got his homie, A.J. Brown, who knows how he throws the ball, who is a compliment to his style of play, and they balled out.
Dude, and they got Devontae Smith. They got Dallas Goedert. They
had Smith. They had God. I'm just saying.
I'm just drooling over how talented that roster is.
You have talent, bro.
We do too.
Just got to put it together and win.
Yeah, and I like that we're gearing it towards. I love defense, so I like that. Like, we're becoming a defensive personality roster with some superstars in the offense. But I'm gonna wrap this up because I know we got some Alabama conversation coming up on the CFP Nation after this. Is there anything either of you want to say before I tie this thing up and put the bow on top?
I promise you, we're going to ruffle some feathers.
All right, ruffle away. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna lay in bed. I'm gonna watch some TV. Maybe catch up on some Ted Lasso. I'm gonna pull up my cell phone. I'm gonna tune into the CFB Nation. I'm gonna see what is causing these feathers to ruffle. So you're gonna want to go ahead, go subscribe to the CFB Nation, where you can follow all of the college football content over there. Anything fantasy football, NFL draft, NFL, you will find on the Toilets to Titles podcast network. Go check out Nino on the Twitter at Nino Brown _ T2T. KT's on there at Leverett _KT. Boomer is at Jared Gray. I am on there at Coach Sheps. The handle for the show at Toilets to Titles. CFB Nation is at the CFB Nation. We have you covered top to bottom. Stay with us. This offseason is long, but I promise you we are running this marathon with you. So go nowhere.